Okay.
Microphones are on.
Oh, we got 6 minutes.
Microphones on.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Spalding County Board of Commissioners work session. It is Monday, December 4th, 2023 at approximately 3 p.m. This time I'd request that please silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices. I'd like to ask the county manager to lead us in the invocation and Commissioner Bolden to lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Let us pray. Father God, thank you for this time together this afternoon to do the county's business. We pray, Lord, that you would lead, guide, and direct us as we consider each one of the agenda items, that you would ensure that we're moving our community forward in the direction that you would have us go. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge to our flag.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here we are, thinking we're right on time now. Come on. Thank you. Item number 4, agenda items. Item 1, review of the Board of Commissioners road projects. Dr. Ledbetter or Director Imberger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Quick review of what we've got going on right now. First one here is coming out of your approved road improvement fund. This was the chip and seal that you all approved a couple of weeks ago. These are the next phase 2 of those test roads. Just spoke with the contractor today, and time frame would probably be a few months as our temperatures are dropping. So we're going to have a good period of warmer temperatures. So we are definitely on top of that, and we'll be ready for that when the time comes. This is another item that came from your road improvement fund. This is West McIntosh from Cheatham Road to Vaughn Road. We had a very dangerous situation there where the shoulders and the white lines were actually eroding and disappearing. We actually did full depth reclamation here, so that's a good example of that. And we have fixed all of those issues. We did do the striping on our own. We do have some mastic repair that has to still be done on that road. Unfortunately, my mastic machine is in Atlanta being repaired. So we're working with some issues directly with the manufacturer. But that project is complete other than the mastic, and I think if you ride out there, you'll see large improvements.
What is that? What's the difference in those two roadways? The one
Uh,
on the right is,
So the darker part is the full depth reclamation. That was where about 5 feet of the road by the white line was actually going into the ditches. So what we did there was take everything up and actually rebuilt it.
so I guess my question when we're doing this is that we don't do roads that have shoulders. There's clearly no shoulder there. I mean, I'm not fussing at you. I'm just wondering, why isn't that an aspect of what our roads are? We're because the end of the road is at the white line. So I'm just trying to understand what's gonna keep it from the same wear and tear as soon as somebody's truck or car goes off the edge of the shoulder again. We're gonna be right back at it.
So that's an issue that is related to the original build of the road. As you're familiar, most of our roads are actually directly on clay dirt, and this was just one of those situations that the traffic over the years eroded that portion there.
But-
This became a hazard.
But my question is about when we fix a road, we do not put a shoulder on it, not even a 12-inch or a 6-inch. There is no play for if your tire hits that line it's off the road.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I'm just trying to understand why that isn't a part of what it is that we're doing.
If I could ask for your patience to the next slide.
Well, hey,
This is our new shoulder building piece of equipment that was purchased with T-Splost, and we will begin this process this winter. We will be utilizing the millings that we are receiving from not only our T-Splost projects, but other projects where we're receiving the millings at no cost to the county. So the millings will be,
By millings, you mean what they torn up from the, like, the.
right, the ground up asphalt,
jump, yeah.
right. So
Use it.
this
It's
is.
not going to a possum, right?
We've actually been testing this out in several other roads, and this is the actual machine that will actually do that for us. So we purchased this with T-Splost funds, and we'll begin that process here in the next couple of weeks.
So my question to you then is, what will be the difference? How will it be used? Will you go and improve roads that are fine except for they don't have a shoulder? Will that make that, will the shoulder be built 24 inches? Will it be on both sides of the road? I mean, I know you said that's that piece of equipment.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
What really will it do?
Yes, ma'am. All that is correct. So this will be like what we did on Bailey Jesters. So you'll have portions of the road where we'll be doing this. Another good example is Jordan Hill Road, when you're coming into the curve north of the school. So they won't be complete roads, but it's going to be roads where we do have problems like we had on Bailey Jester. We have several areas where a road may have 100 feet of it, but no other. So we'll catch that 100 feet.
So how are we doing the assessment to figure out where it is that we need to start this master?
So we've been keeping, our crews know exactly where we need to go. We're going to start at one end of the county and work our way to the other. I may not make it through this winter, but a majority of our roads do have some section that this will be used on.
So-
Some may only be 10 feet.
What crew is going to be doing this? Because clearly you got the paving crew and then, well, the master machine's broken.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Yeah.
actually a good question because I was just informed a little while ago that I've got my mastic crew is going on medical leave for a few months.
The whole crew.
So, the ones who run the crew, yes, ma'am, the single officers. So, that is an issue that I don't have an answer for right now.
Okay.
We work on those priorities every week and every day, trying to get priority work orders done and then moving towards more of what I would call an annual type situation. So, I don't have a good answer for that.
Well, I asked that because, with the transportation, we clearly said, it's gonna be resurfacing roads, or it's gonna be sidewalks, or even the way that the roads were picked, there was something that told us how it was gonna go. So that's why I'm asking you, if the roads are identified, how do we know? How can we know?
I could work on something there for you to keep you better informed. And Public Works right now, 4 positions short, and at least 2 on medical leave right now. I may have 3 actually. So
I mean, I know
we're trying to
that-
work
I
the
know that
priorities.
that's hard. I mean, I totally get it, and I'm sure that's a conversation that we're gonna have later, but yeah, okay.
I'll work on I'll work on a dashboard for that to get that information a little bit clearer. I'd be glad to
TJ,
do
are
that.
you thinking that you can get through the initial shouldering that you're talking about within a year?
That would be reasonable. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's
Pretty fantastic, really and truly.
I guess
And
if
I just
you,
think
if,
that's very, very hopeful. I just don't
Well-
see that happening. You don't have enough people to do the stuff you got to do now.
well, that's what I'm saying,
So-
probably
so-
when all hands are on deck, because right now, not all hands are on deck, right
Well,
now.
but I'm
for
saying,
sure.
even with all hands on deck, you gotta take someone off another part of a road crew to do that thing. So for me, it's not, when we're asking you, what happened with this? Why haven't we done that? You only got so many people. So that's, for me, is a big issue. We've given them this money to do all this road stuff. You got no people to do it.
Yeah.
We've given them twice the work to do that they had before with all the T-Splosh stuff, and so, I mean, that's.
All we can do is,
Doing a great job,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong.
No, I
I'm
understand.
just
Yeah.
It's
flabbergasted
frustrating.
Because of the amount of stuff that's gotta be done, I know
Right.
there's not two crews somewhere extra that could be doing that.
All we can ask you to do is provide us the updates and the, with estimates as far as when you think, you're gonna be done, what it looks like, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes,
I mean, at
ma'am.
the end of the
And
day.
I-
So if the year is a goal, if it's a goal, that attainable goal, that's great. If it's not, we get it. But you're
not
saying
fussing
here.
at you.
Oh, no, I'm just
Oh, I
saying,
know.
but I'm just kind of going back to what Clay was saying. I mean, if it's a year you think we can do it, then we'll shoot for that. Until otherwise noted.
Yeah, and I'll try to come up with some kind of evaluation process there too, so we can prioritize those roads. I'll work on something.
Good, good. Okay, go
Very
ahead.
good.
T-Splosh roads, looking real good. All the resurfacing is done. We are fielding a couple little things here and there, like,
Well, phase 2 is done.
this is year 2. Yes, sir. This is year 2. And a couple issues are coming in. Residents, a little bit too high for their driveways, stuff like that. C.W. Matthews has been extremely cooperative with us. We've been addressing those as soon as those come in. They're actually currently working on shoulder work. So on all the T-Splosh roads that needed shoulder work, it's in that contract. So if you go to Macon Highway, Old Macon Road right now, they're actually doing the shoulders. And they are using the same materials. They're going to be using the millings as well.
What
So-
is that gonna be? Is that 12 inches? Is that 6 inches of shoulder? Is
A
that-
lot of that is field dependent on exactly where we ended up on the lift of the resurfacing, because we did the OGI product, and what was the existing condition of the shoulder.
Okay.
So that's going to vary throughout the entire road. Right, but the T-Splosh roads are being done by the contractor. And then as the weather cooperates, they'll be starting on the thermo lines. So we're about 90% done with all of year 2.
So, question about some of the marketing here, because I know that sign, and when I go on Lucky Street or places like that, I see the T-Splosh progress ahead, the sign, which I really love seeing. I just kind of wonder though, I mean, is there something maybe for Steve, like we could let everybody see, these are the roads that we're doing, and this is what the completion is out and about? I know we may have it like electronically, but people can actually really see these roads as they're driving.
Yeah,
I thought we were doing that already.
we are placing these signs on each one of the roads.
Each one, yeah, each one.
Are you talking specifically about doing a marketing
A marketing for,
campaign?
yes.
Let me take a look at that and see what we can come up with.
Because not everybody drives the same roads all the time. So I mean, there's a lot of things that, we actually, people need to see what we're doing.
That's
out
a
there,
great idea.
holistically.
I mean,
Okay.
especially if you got, 50 miles at this point
We've
of
got-
roadway, that's a lot of
That's
advertising,
significant.
even
By
if
people
you
that don't
put it
see.
in at the beginning or the end, but of course, if you live in a city, you're not gonna see a lot
Right.
of that. But if you're coming into Spalding County, or you live in that area, I think it's important for people to know that their T-Splosh,
Their T-Splosh funds are working.
that this is.
When we go after it again and ask for more, people can actually see what we're doing with it.
Yes. All right, where are
So
we?
I will say I did steal this from DeAndre, so I didn't actually do this. So that came from his material. And every T-Splosh project gets a permanent sign. We do 2 per road, at the beginning of both sides. Where also, we labeled the Board of Commissioners Road Improvement Fund projects as well with the same style of sign indicating Road Improvement Fund and then the project name. So those are out there as well.
On our mastic roads?
Not on if it's a major mastic, but
Not
yes.
mastic,
Like we did on Southbrook, we did a project last year,
I remember.
that project,
Yeah.
and we had the permanent sign. So we are marking that. I do think it's important that the citizens know that y'all are addressing that through a special fund.
This is too much to ask for. I know I'm kind of being kind of funny here, but it would be really cool. I'm just trying to say because, to have maybe like District 1, District 2, District 3 on the sign, as the commissioner's name on it or something.
Oh, definitely, I don't want my name on it.
So,
It's good marketing for us, I'm just saying.
so while I appreciate that, that's one thing that really bugs me about Clayton County. When you walk into like their aquatic center, it's like there's a big poster of the commissioner who's just good. It's like she welcomes you, and you're like, that's a campaign sign. Like that's nothing else. There's no other way you can call that other than a campaign sign. Like it's not the commission, it's her, and you're like, and then you go somewhere else, and it's like.
It's a little.
Or district. I'm just saying only with the roads. I'm not saying with the buildings. That's
Yeah,
different.
to me, that's a campaign sign. I don't know.
All right,
If it's commissioners, that's.
It's temporary.
TJ, what about contract? Where are we up now? We've done this contract for this year. This year's all done.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't we make the contract so that it was multi-year?
We attempted to do that, and initially, the bidders came back and said that they appreciated that they wanted to do it, and then a week after we released the multi-year, they came back and said they only wanted 1 year. So this was only for a 1-year contract. Paragon Consulting is actually working the details in the background currently to bid out next year's work. Remember, we did 5 years worth of roadway, and we highlighted which roads were going to be in each year. So we know what roads we're going to resurface next year, which makes it easy for us to put the bid work out for contract. So we should be holding putting the RFP out within just the next few months.
Okay.
Because we've got until March or April until the season opens back up, depending on the weather.
Okay.
So we just turned our information into Paragon today in reference to year 3. The portion that we had to get up took us about 3 weeks, and that went in this morning to
Okay.
them. So, okay, I think you may have seen this. This may have just been in here because we shared it with GSAT-C. The savings that we saw this cutting season with our side cutter as far as efficiency in the route, efficiency in your SVS that you adopted, and then just doing business a little bit differently. As you can see here, we've reduced the cost per mile on that particular task by half this season, and we should be able to get a real good handle on that next year as well. So,
What is that current average cost per mile?
of a
for-
side cutter operation.
I guess I think that it's a good idea. I know at first people were complaining because they were used to us cutting the grass on the other side. How are we tracking whether or not trees are growing on the opposite side of the ditch? Because it's clearly in our right of way, but what if it's making it, difficult for people to see coming into the road where you're coming around a curve?
So that would be handled under the visibility portion. I believe we are seeing trees grow. However, if they're not affecting visibility or the sight distances, then we're moving on. If it does affect that, and we've had some of those cases brought to our attention, we'll immediately handle those. So we've had a few of those. Probably about 10% of the calls we get are probably legitimate that we need to handle it, and then the others are just part of that backside where in reality we shouldn't be looking at. So we're still fielding half a dozen calls a week, but we're handling the ones that need to be handled.
And do you have a number in what that 58% savings look like if you budget for $100,000, or are you saying it's only costing?
I could get that number for you because we could look at the average per week. It's a little, we could have what the average is per week. You'll see some variances as sometimes the cutter is on a paved road, which is much easier than a dirt road. Or it's a certain type of road that's got problems, that always has problems. We could have a lot of fences, a lot of utilities in the way. So all the mileage is the actual obstacles are always completely different. But we could give you some of the averages of the information we already have. I would get that to you. Okay, and this is the first of the sidewalk project. This has been let out. This is Carver Road. As you can see, the yellow line is the actual sidewalk. The blue are the crosswalks. It's going to go from 362 to Summer Woods Circle. And spoke to the contractor today. They should begin this project in 3 weeks. Everything's been let. All the surveying's done. The engineering's done. Also, this will be our first standard crosswalk design. So we're testing out the yellow flashers where you push button so that you could cross over with the yellow lights. We have all the state mandated signage. So what you see there is possible. What I do?
Nothing. You said that we're going to begin in 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today is Christmas.
Well, that's what the contractor told me, so I'll get on him about
3
it.
weeks-ish.
Ish.
What kind of signage are we gonna have on the Carver Road Dog Park crosswalk? I mean, is that gonna be like a full, like, blinking lights?
Yes, sir. All three of these crosswalks will be identical. They'll have double-sided crosswalk signs on both sides. There'll be double-sided LED lights. Both sides will have push buttons. We'll also have the mandated have to stop crossing signs, and then, of course, the markings. So very familiar what you're seeing in other towns, Athens and that type of situation. What I did do is add some so that we could get visibility very well from both sides, because we would anticipate a lot of children using these. So I tried to increase the visibility for safety purposes. And this should be our new standard. We may need to tweak it a little bit, but in the future, we'll probably build what we're seeing here, if it works.
Nice upgrade, nice upgrade.
I think you'll like what you see. We put a little extra effort in making it a little bit safer and more visible to traffic on both sides.
Thank you, okay?
That concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
No, good job.
Yes,
You're doing a
very
great
good.
job, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry your folks have been sick and everything. And
Doing what we can.
All right, thank you, TJ. All right, item number 2, discuss the number of appointments to boards, commissions, and committees that will be up for consideration in the January 24 meeting. All right, now this is simply just an opportunity for us to get a feel for what this looks like. We're going to have the first one we'll vote on tonight, but
Which one do we have tonight?
Board of Assessors, Board of Taxes.
Why are we doing that? Don't we make appointments at the first of the year?
The Board of Assessors has to have, they have some timing requirements that make our first meeting appointment very problematic for them to get the information that's needed into the state. So that's why they had asked that this appointment be made in December instead of waiting until January.
So I really don't understand that, because what is different this year than last year? Didn't they have to have something into the state?
This year, they have 2 members actually up for reappointment, and there are only 3 of them. So,
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
so they could go into their first meeting in January with only 1 member, which would be a problem because they would not have a quorum.
Okay, if we make the appointments the first meeting in January, which.
January 5th, I guess.
It's the 8th. When is their first meeting?
I think their first meeting is the following week, that Monday or Tuesday.
They have to have like 40 hours or some, they have to have a huge number of,
I get it, and they don't get that until they've been there for 6 months. They have to get it within 6 months. I get all that. What I don't like is that we are making a special exception whenever any other board happens. If it's 3 months left to the rest of the year, we wait and do it at the beginning. I don't think that their situation is any different than Land Bank. I don't think their situation is any different than any of these other organizations who are having changes in their staffing. I mean, it is what it is. There's never been a rule that says we need to have experienced people on that board so that they can operate. The other problem I have with this is that you've known for a month, when I say you, I mean the Board of Assessors, they've known for over a month that Jerry's gonna retire. They have not interviewed a single person for that job. What's up with that? But now we're gonna change everything around. And my problem is this is a 6-year position. And every person that came in here to fuss about the property taxes and the millage rate accused us of making those decisions. And all we turned around and said was, we don't have any control over the Board of Assessors. We just appoint them.
Right.
And that is the only power that we have. And so I don't appreciate us making an appointment out of term, because there's only a month left, to accommodate what they want to do. We've not done it for anybody else, and why should we make an exception for this? I've been on this board for 19 years. This has never happened, and believe me, they've been in worse shape than this. I think that's a wrong move. If it were the Board of Elections, they wouldn't get it. So
So let me ask a question. I totally understand what you're saying, and I appreciate it. So is it gonna make a big deal or a difference, as Stephen just asking, if we were to wait? What are we losing? We're losing a month, and we're not really even losing a month, are we? Because they meet after us. So what's the detriment here? So it's just something they just wanna have
they're just
done?
doing something extra,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we'll
It
have-
was just a request. It was certainly
Okay.
not a demand.
Well, yeah, and I don't really think that it's justified. They need to
Okay.
handle their business. If they have been looking for someone to be there to take Jerry's place and not allowing, this is a situation where I feel like they're saying, okay, you're stuck with us because Jerry's leaving and there's nobody else who know how to do this. If Jerry died, they still have to have somebody to be in charge of. So, I mean, this is not an unusual circumstances, and I appreciate you sharing, Stephanie, that's just a request that they have. But I don't think that we need to change the procedure that we've done forever, especially since we have an appointment due in less than a month.
So they're gonna be, making the presentation. Johnny's gonna be here this evening to talk
Correct.
about their situation, to some degree. We will have an opportunity at that time, I'm thinking, and Stephanie, if we wanna talk about like different ways of how to structure things on that board, if we want to make those, can we make those decisions, or at least have the conversation tonight?
You can certainly ask Johnny questions, and
Okay.
he'll be, and my understanding is that Mr. Johnson will be here as
Okay.
well.
All right.
So what you're talking about,
Mhm.
there's no, that discussion can be had now.
Yeah,
There's
that's what I was-
nothing that we can do
Right.
as a board
Yeah.
to change the structure of the Board of Assessors, the length of their
Mhm.
appointment. This is the only point and the only place that we have power to determine who is making those decisions, that the taxpayers have automatically given us a responsibility for, and we've tried not to take it.
Right.
But I can't tell you how many times I've heard us say, we don't tell them what to do. We don't have any power over them. Our only power is to appoint. So I don't feel like I need to be pressured into making a decision earlier than we are supposed to. Because first of all, there are other candidates that may or may not have had an opportunity to do it. The expectation in this county is that every year in January, the city and the county makes all of its new appointments. I just really don't see where there's a reason why we should be doing something different than we've always done.
You said that we can actually talk about this right now, as far as, but, so my question is, it goes back to, are we in a situation we can stagger the appointments on that board? Can we do that with this board?
No, actually, I looked it up already. It is a state appointed seat.
Yeah, there is nothing, you have no control
Okay.
over the board at all, other than to make the appointments. It is the desire of that board that, because the terms were staggered and at some point became unstaggered, for lack of a better word. I don't know that that is a word, but I'm not really sure how that happened historically.
If it were in their charter that the terms were staggered, then we have a right to do that.
Stagger.
I don't think that they have changed their charter. So if that were the language, which clearly we should be able to find that out, then that's a totally different thing. But if the charter says you're on there for 6 years,
Then we're on the hook for 6 years. Yeah.
And I'm not sure, I'm not, and Clay, you may know, I'm not sure if what happened was someone was supposed to fill an unexpired term and maybe it ended up not being, maybe they didn't do something correctly. I honestly have no idea historically what happened, because I've had very little involvement with that board until the last couple of years.
Yeah, Stephanie, look and see about the staggered. I
I
think
will.
it says in the very beginning of it, they wanted it to be staggered, and then after that, it was gonna be 6 years. And somewhere along the line, as Stephanie said, somebody got sick, quit, whatever, and we put them on to finish, and we didn't do it correctly. So we ended up with 2 people out of 3 being changed at the same time, which we absolutely shouldn't be doing.
so wouldn't it make more sense for us to do our homework and find out where and when this happened, so that if we need to justify making different appointments for however much time, then we are legally able to do that. And we can't do that unless we have all of the information that we need about the creation and the creating legislation. Simply again, another reason not to make appointments tonight, because we don't have all the information we need to do it.
Okay, I understand.
Mhm.
All right. All right, let's, now, remember, this is an opportunity for us to kind of find out where we are, what's going on, if we need to find other people, if we have individual post positions that we need to fill, so we're sure about the post positions we've got to do. That's really kind of critical to me, that we say, all right, this is a post position, so I know, okay, I got a post position, I got.
So we need to have our, as commissioners, we need to have our ducks in a row as far as those post positions for January.
Correct. Or, and then if we don't have anybody in the book, and there's one or two people that we know we need to
Reach out
go
to.
and find some people to be able, some citizens to be able to fill. All right.
All right.
Kathy, are you leading? How are we doing this?
Okay, everyone has a spreadsheet.
Let me just say one more thing, sir, because we were talking about the Board of Assessors. I have looked in the book, I see that there is a gentleman's name in the book. I'm not sure if he is a Sun City resident, but I do know that there's a Sun City resident already on that board. I'm just not feeling warm and fuzzy about that board being heavy with Sun City residents. I mean, they may want to do it, but you also have that, okay, I mean, I'm not being ugly, I'm just being truthful. Sun City does what they wanna do. If they want legislation, they don't come and talk to us about it, they go to the representative. So I don't have any reason, I have some concerns about any board being Sun City resident top heavy. And if there's only 3 people on that board, and 2 of them are Sun City residents,
Oop.
Mr. Weidman is a resident of Sun City, but neither Mr. Morrow nor Mr.
I
McDaniel.
understand that, but one of the names that is in the book is, 1 or 2 of the names may be a Sun City resident. So
I put a name in there, and I was gonna make sure, is that Mr. Bailey's still in there? Okay, that's one of the names I put in there.
Okay, I don't know. if-
I
And
think there's
Joe
5
Bailey is a
names in the
resident
book
of Sun
for
City,
those
too.
2 positions.
So-
2 of them just have, one of them is Brad Weidman, who is currently on there and wants to be reappointed, and then another person came on and wants to stick his hand up to be able to be on it. I understand your issue totally. I'm not
Right.
offended by it at all.
I didn't mean to be offensive, I was just trying to tell the truth like you did.
Okay, all right, what's the first one?
Okay, any that are highlighted, the column that's highlighted on here, the ones highlighted in yellow are to be filled, are reappointments for the board, okay?
Okay.
The ones in green are employees of the county, so you won't be changing that. The ones in red are appointed by their position, so we don't have to address those. Let me see.
You said the ones in green?
It's the ones in blue.
Dark.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Okay, and then there's a dark blue, what is that one?
Well, the dark blue is the one I'm talking about. The light blue is just Spalding County.
Okay.
The dark blue is employees.
So we need to focus on the yellow, basically.
Well, no, you need to focus on the blue that is blank in
Okay.
here. That doesn't have it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, that where's that, our districts, our appointments, I see it, yeah.
Some of them have no beside it.
Okay.
Those we're gonna have to replace, like Tom Gardner and Chuck Copeland, who are on the Development Authority, as well as the Butts Spalding County Development Authority. Those 2 are no. They do not want to continue, so those will have to be replaced. You have Robert, wait a minute.
While she's looking, also commissioners, depending on if, who's a new commissioner, who the new chair is, if it's not me, which ones do you want to be back onto or don't want to be onto? I'm assuming, let's make an assumption that everybody's going to go to the same ones they are. If you're not going to want to go and be the representative on it, please get with me so that we know, okay, hey, I got to talk to somebody else to do that, or you can talk to another commissioner and see if they want to swap with you or something. So please take the time to do that. All right, back to you, Kathy.
Catherine Lindgren, is on the hospital authority, and she has expressed her desire not to continue there. So we need a replacement for Ms. Lindgren.
I'm sorry, where are you on the sheet?
Griffin Spalding Hospital Authority.
Griffin Spalding Hospital Authority.
It's about middle way down, like,
Okay, thank
under
you.
your name, the hospital authority.
My glasses on for these. See?
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know Kathleen Lindgren, Kay Lindgren is not gonna be on there again, so, okay.
and, then everyone needs to get me their, ethics review panel people. If it's the same people, I just need to know that.
Mine are the same. Mine are, you have mine, correct?
I have, but Catherine Lindgren is one of yours.
Yeah, and I thought I gave you a new one, okay?
I'll look and see.
Yes.
I'll look and see. If you did, then I have got it.
Yes.
On the library, Board of Trustees, Virginia Church has not responded.
Okay.
And she is the, and Nancy Morris has not responded. Barbara Jo Cook, Angela Williams, and, wait a minute, Kay Weidman have all said they would like to continue on the board. We still have a vacancy on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for District 2, and I'm assuming that Commissioner Dutton is working on that one. Taylor Dutton will continue. The Personnel Appeals Board, we have a vacancy on that. James Campbell, Stanley Washington, and, we have 2 vacancies on the Personnel Appeals Board. Stanley Washington and Lewis Peterson have both asked to remain on that board. And then Cheryl Matlock has asked to come off of the Water and Sewerage Authority Board. So we have 1 opening on that board. And the rest are, and that's it. So we're really not in bad shape, but those are openings that we need to address.
Just stress me.
I want to ask you something, Clay. On the hospital authority, are there any people of color on that board?
Just give me a second. A Sun City person is of color on the board. And let me think who else. I gotta go around the room.
She was a nurse.
Yeah, she's a nurse, yes.
She
Yep.
used to be in Pink Ladies.
Uh-huh.
Reverend, what's his name? Oh, man, my mind just went blank.
Unless it's somebody new, I don't.
That may be the only one.
Is Lacey on, is on the hospital board, is the only authority, hospital authority.
What's her?
He's on the hospital.
Bernadette.
Bernadette
Oh,
Murphy, yes. She's on it. I've appointed her since I've been around, so she's gonna be.
She's good.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing on the, as a nurse and being able, and she's also, as you know, she's on the committee for grants. So she's in the heart and soul of what this is all about.
I have a problem whenever we have these community boards, and the boards don't look like
The community.
The
the
community.
Reflection,
community.
yes.
Correct.
And so that's why I asked that
Yeah,
question. I
there's-
forgot about Bernadette being on it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and I have the forms here, if anybody needs the forms to fill out,
Okay.
okay? And the book.
All right, so just, let's go back. The post appointments are only person who has a post appointment is Dutton, okay? The rest of us are all up to date.
Except for the ethics board.
Okay, and who, is that me that's missing somebody on the ethics board? I mean, I don't see the ethics.
The ethics.
Oh, yeah,
board.
yeah, yeah.
We just need to verify the people that were actually, we have it on it, still want to do it, basically.
Yeah.
But they've got their
Okay, so
names
yeah,
on here.
It looks like we're all covered on that.
Well, Ms. Glenn, you do only have 2 on the ethics board.
Okay,
you
so
do
I need
a
another
third.
person. I thought I was missing somebody.
All right, I'm sorry, can we do this one more time? This is, where do we need to find bodies? What committees do we need to find bodies for?
You need
You
two.
said it, I just,
You need two bodies for the Development Authority. Well, yeah, and they are also on the Spalding Development Authority.
okay, 2 for the Development Authority.
And then you need, that's the Development Authority.
I'm sorry to make you do it this way,
No,
I'm
that's
just,
fine. Then you need 1 for the Hospital Authority,
okay,
To replace who? Who's term?
Lindgren.
Lindgren.
Okay.
And then, we have we have an opening, no, never mind, it's an appointed official position for the land bank. No, that's the executive director, so that's not, we don't have anybody for the land bank.
There's supposed to be a land bank position.
There is
but
a land bank
Pansy
position.
Copeland, we did not fill her position, she
Okay.
resigned. and
She
then
hasn't
decided
resigned.
this was
She,
in November.
wait,
We
she,
just-
she hasn't resigned. The board asked you to reappoint someone because she hasn't been in a
She's been
year.
taking care of
Okay,
her.
so
So
we
we-
do have 1 for the
Land bank?
Right.
Okay.
And whatever Kirby says wanted to come
Well,
off.
And everybody on the
Kirby
land
says
bank
is
that we
a
have,
city
we only have one person.
correct, correct.
And then the Ethics Review Panel, which you know about.
Okay.
Clay, you would have had 2 for Ethics Review. 1 for Ms. Lindgren and 1 for Ms. Picone.
McCone's staying,
Okay,
and the Mike Davis is,
okay,
Yeah.
like I said, I've got that.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to you, okay.
Catherine Sylvester no, that's Ethics Review too. Virginia Church has not responded for the Library Board of Trustees. And Nancy Morris has not responded, so you've got 2 for the Library Board of Trustees.
Okay,
You've got, Commissioner Dutton's for the, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We have 2 vacancies on the Personnel Appeals Board. And we have 1 vacancy on the, Water and Sewage Facilities Authority.
On the Personnel Appeals Board, do you know for sure which one of us don't have our people? I mean, I see the guy that whose name I put in, but it says vacant, then there's,
looks like me.
James Campbell.
it's not,
But these aren't by district.
These are across.
These are just
we vote.
general.
Somebody comes in and we get 3 votes.
Yeah.
okay.
So we have 1 for the personnel, 2 for the personnel appeals?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And 1 for the Water Authority.
okay. That it?
That's it.
Okay.
Wait a minute. We got 2 for the Water Authority, Jeff Brandon and,
No, Jeff Brandon brought his in.
He's wanting to be reappointed.
well, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah, yeah,
that's still a
yeah,
second
yeah.
appointment.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
but I'm just saying the ones that are blank,
Okay.
the ones that haven't said they wanted to be reappointed.
She just assumes we'll reappoint people.
I mean, if, that's up to y'all if you don't want to reappoint, but he did respond and he
Oh,
called.
yeah, I mean, I was just saying, in general, the Water Authority has 2
Right,
openings for reappointment.
right, but
And that's
only
what they-
one
yeah.
that hasn't responded.
Okay? All right, so everybody, we've got some work to do with people, finding people.
Just keep in mind on that second page where it has West Central Georgia
6, 7,
workforce, I know Clay is the designated person, but you have my email address there. You might want to change that to
Oh,
Clay's email address.
okay, it's just,
Yeah, but just, I'm not getting an email, just if there's.
I have a question.
So 9 people we talked about, at least.
We have a lot of people who were in the young Griffin. I
Leadership?
wasn't- It's clearly, I'm old, so I can go through it.
Leadership?
But yeah, there were several classes of people who, if they were interested in learning about government, maybe they are interested in serving. So it would be nice if we kind of knew maybe some of the names of those people, so that we could say, hey,
would be nice.
you've gone through this whole thing, you kind of understand what's going on in government, are you ready to do something else? Because I know in some of those classes, may have been 15 or 20 people per
Whoop.
class.
Yep.
So, and why not? We're talking about where do we find these people?
And we need young,
And they're younger
new,
people,
new people.
interested enough to do the leadership Griffin or leadership Spalding, so maybe that might be a well that we hadn't even looked in.
They are encouraged to let these boards know that they're supposed to attend a meeting, either county commission, city commission, board of education, or an authority. And they're encouraged to let Cindy at the chamber know, and the city manager and the county manager know, if they're interested in taking on any of these leadership positions. And honestly, there've been so many good ones that have gone through, but I
Well, that's what
have
I'm
yet to
saying.
see any of them say they really wanted to serve on
Yes,
any of these
that's what
boards.
the issue
But
is.
we don't know.
We haven't done
that,
our-
that it was time for somebody to be there when
I've
that
got,
happened.
I've got a note. Yes, ma'am, I will do the follow-up for that.
That would be good.
Something else I was gonna say about, we were talking about people, not just the leadership Spalding, but we also had, there was another work group, Young something, that worked with Archway.
There was a young professionals group, but it never really got off the ground.
I know they met maybe like 2 or 3
There
times.
was
in
no
March, but they
cohesiveness.
were young.
Just as an aside,
Right.
TJ and I had the privilege of going to a summit last Thursday at UGA, and we spoke for a minute, probably 45 minutes or an hour, and then TJ followed back up with them later in the afternoon, and then I followed back up with them later after that, talking with them specifically about recruiting for Spalding County. And one of the things that didn't shock me, but one of the things that I found most interesting was that as we were making our pitch for some of the open positions that we have, the first question out of any of the students' mouth was, is this remote? And if not, I'm not interested.
It's a real thing.
It is a real thing,
It
and
is
we
a
are
real thing.
struggling right now, not only with employment for professional positions, but I'm of the opinion that we're gonna struggle with our boards and our authorities because they are not remote.
And legally cannot be
Correct.
remote. And
And I get it.
So we're
because
not
you
gonna
can't
stop.
really get
No,
involved if
we
all
can't
you
bend
do
the
is
ru-
get
we
on
can't do
the
anything about
internet
that.
That's
at
correct.
home.
No.
And honestly, a lot of the leadership Griffin people, a lot of the attendees for those are city and county employees. So, I mean, there are large classes, but there are a lot of city and county employees that make up
Right, but
those
we don't have a
as
problem
well.
appointing city employees. We don't have a problem appointing the school system. We maybe can't appoint county people, but I just think that it's a fountain of people that we have not tried to tap.
I
and that
agree
we-
with you.
We, have a friend of mine who is, in the Republican Party, started out working with her 20 years ago. She wanted to know about government, and I'm very happy that she's involved with her party now, but I ask her every single year, are you ready? Are you ready? And I know that she attended the leadership classes, but if you don't ask,
Yeah.
if you don't ask, you won't know.
Truly, that's kind of the reason I wanted to get it done early, right now, so we can start right now, over the Christmas, when we're having parties and we see some of these people, to grab hold of them and say, hey, we're gonna appoint in January, here are the places that, you pick out where you wanna
If
go.
could- Yeah.
The other side of it is, this is pretty traumatic when you're sitting outside, out in the thing, and you're not selected publicly. This is hard on people's egos to be not selected, having been one of those,
Is
so
it
everybody
traumatic, really?
remembers that was me. But one of the things that I'm going to try to say when we get ready to do it is, in some cases, we're looking for very specific skill sets. If we want a finance person,
Right.
and you're not a finance person, we're looking for the finance person because we think that
Exactly.
board, committee, authority needs a finance person. We're sorry. Next appointment may not be a finance person, and you may have fit into that. So I'm gonna try to talk about how that works so that people don't get any more ego hurt.
Well, that's
But-
us doing our due diligence too, making sure we put the right people,
Yes,
in those positions, not necessarily our friends or church members or whatever, but we know these are people that are qualified and can do the job.
Yes.
So devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first time I went to the Development Authority, got appointed to it, I didn't know anything about it. Someone thought that I might be able to figure it out. My point being, I don't know if I was considered a crappy member on there, or if I was somebody who helped to move it forward or whatever else. But it grew me as a person who acquired a civic responsibility and civic duty that I really didn't have before. So while I think that if you feel like as a board, if you have a need for someone with secretarial skill set or engineering, or I just don't know that that's a good reason, because there may be that person who just wants to be civically involved, who can become a great board leader, that you won't give the opportunity to do that. So I just caution us
Whoop.
in trying to put any requirements on people that, because first of all, if you want your name to be put in there, that's a big step.
That's a big step.
Take it from me, having your name submitted, I was just glad to have my name submitted. I didn't feel some kind of way, because I didn't get appointed. It was just how it was. But I'm just saying, let's not lose sight of the fact that we want people to be engaged. We want to train people to be leaders. If you spend 10 years on the Development Authority, you clearly might be ready for a higher challenge, or, or whatever it is. So let's, I respect what you're saying, but we also just need to remember, if that board has financial needs, that board has money to make sure that they have expertise in getting financial stuff done. That's the point that I'm trying to make. We don't need to hire gunslingers in a special area to come and sit on our boards, because these boards have money to hire professional people to do that.
I think it also goes back to the
Some do,
interest,
the
too.
airport authority does not.
They don't have money. They give their money away.
Yeah, I think
Oh, I don't
think
know
it
about
also
that.
goes back to the interest of the board and the person that actually wants to put their name in it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they don't have the financial background, but if they have the willingness, first of all, they want to show up to the meetings. That's the first thing. Okay, and if they have something else to add, because we got somebody that's going to be able to contribute to whatever the board is doing, at the end of the day. So.
And the Development Authority is one that actually does have a requirement for training that you get
Then
in the
that's even
first
better.
year.
That's
And,
even better.
and it's excellent training, having gone through it myself when I was the chamber representative.
Yeah, I mean, for someone coming on new to the Development Authority, it's really good because it brings you fully up to speed that quick. And so you're ready to be able to be engaged and not like a
Yeah.
lost person just kind of hanging around and voting on stuff.
They are kind of in the unenviable position this year, though, of losing two very seasoned members in Chuck Copeland and Tom Gardner. So,
Yeah.
so they really do need some strong leadership to be appointed to that board.
I'd like to make sure that when we send letters out, we include the date for Stephanie's class. We need to make sure that almost everybody understands, especially the new people, that doesn't have a requirement like economic development, that they know that on this date, they've got to come to the class. And we've got to schedule that out far enough so that we pick that up and say, here, come to this class. We're appointing you to this. Now you're going to learn about sunshine and open
And the
record.
Development Authority training doesn't really get that training. It's more about, recruitment and projects and
Well-
how that works, so.
Now, the other boards that we have for the county, we have shared with all of the members that Stephanie's class is going to be mandated next year, regardless if you've gone or not. You need to show up for the class, because it not only highlights what you have to do legally, but it actually helps congeal the team a little better. They get to know each other a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so it's not a new appointee training, it is annual training for board members.
Correct.
So let's pick the date and make sure that the letters that go out for the new people, they
Include
have the
that.
date in them.
Okay.
So may I also suggest that many of the folks and I mean, I'm sure they can make arrangements if they're on a board and they have to go to a meeting, but many of these people sit on the board because it meets at night. So maybe not necessarily having Stephanie's meeting and, you know, it was a lunch, kind of a breakfast lunch. Maybe it could be an evening something so that people who work
Great idea.
can actually come in, we feed them a meal, and then we do the training. I just think
That's a
that
great
lot of
idea.
people
Nope.
didn't show up the last time because they clearly work in the daytime, and if we want as many people out of the board to show up, I think we can try to.
Yep, good idea.
Including us, so.
And there are, I mean, there are some who, you know, they've been on these authorities for years and so they think that they know. And you just don't always know the right answer.
Forget, you know. All right. Okay. Item number 3. Excuse me, anything else anybody wants to know on that? We've got work to do.
Yes.
To go out and find folks.
Yeah.
Item number 3, consider approval of the 2024 meeting schedule for the Spalding County Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
There it is. Any questions about it?
Holiday.
I just want you to note that our meetings in January are the second and third Monday of the month, because the first Monday is New Year's and the second Monday is Martin Luther King holiday. So we just moved it up a week so that we could have the 2 meetings.
So that second meeting is actually gonna sort of conflict with the airport authority meeting, which is that evening at 5 o'clock on the 8th. Just, sometimes we have difficulty getting a quorum at that meeting, and I don't want that to be the case at our first meeting of the year.
All right, so what do you,
I mean, it's rarely longer than an hour, so it's possible that there's really is no conflict. But, I mean, if we could have the commissioners that are on that board actually be there to make sure we have a quorum, it would be helpful.
okay.
And the work session, I might have to skip out a little bit early.
Oop.
So those
Okay.
meetings in November and December, we kind of consolidate those like we're doing now.
But there's no need because they're not actually falling on a holiday.
Okay, I'm looking to my calendar now to see.
The November meetings are November 4th and November 18th, which is a week before Thanksgiving. Or,
The November 4th is a week before the Veterans Day, and then the 18th is a week before Thanksgiving.
So the okay, so what is the
And
20,
then
what's the
you'll note
21st on
that,
that?
December 2nd and December 16th, well, the 16th is 9 days before Christmas. So we shouldn't have a problem. They're the
Okay.
only one that we're gonna have to,
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and
It'll
we,
be
Well, that's
September.
good.
yeah, we need to have more than just this one meeting like we're having right now, which is hard for us.
Okay, and then the same thing for the work session. The only work session we'll have a problem with is the Labor Day work session.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll have the second meeting in September. The problem is we will have to move the zoning public hearings in November and December up to the extraordinary session and hear both of them at the extraordinary sessions in November and December.
Now, let's make sure we're all square on doing that. Some of these public zoning get to make our meetings pretty long. And I remember one of the meetings recently we had that everybody said, we got to figure out a better way of doing this. This is the time we figure out a better way of doing it if we don't want to do it. It was 3 hours or something like that.
But the last, just
Now,
this
we
not
had
long
3
ago?
separate meetings.
Well, we had the millage rate, we had all kinds of stuff going on it.
Okay,
I
as
mean,
long as you understand, if we put it,
Yeah.
move it up, those meetings that we have are going to be longer than usual.
I think it was the timing of that meeting
We're
in
talking about
particular.
in January or just in general?
We're really talking about November, and the November meeting and the December meeting.
Or 24?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Really, this is gonna come, and I see we gotta approve this, and that's fine, but this could change, I'm sure, like, as the month brings itself out. Because we don't know what's going on in October, November, December.
Right.
Well,
We
and
don't know what's gonna be.
not only that, but Stephanie had a good point. If we see there's gonna be a lot, then we can break the zoning public hearing into the 2 meetings and have some zoning meetings on the first and the third meeting of the month. We just have to make sure that community development is aware so they
They
can
can
do
post
the
it
advertisement.
Yeah, I just, yeah, I would even like doing that better, just not, full zoning and
Whoop.
then full
Yeah.
meeting and then full public hearing.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one meeting was.
All right, so let's do it that way.
Executive
Break
session.
it up into two sessions,
I'll send you
If
the-
necessary.
if necessary. If you have, look and
I
see
mean,
how
if
much
there's
work
only
you've got,
three
and say, all right,
things, then-
we'll be able to
Yeah.
take this one into the first of the
Yeah.
month, and this one, these four in the second of the month. And you'll have a feel for how long it will take. Yes, sir. All right? We all good with that?
Good with that?
All right,
And that's why I put it on here, because I wanted to talk over, the fact that there's no break in November and December. We can have both of those meetings.
Good.
And, you're looking at a full year, almost of meetings this year. No holidays.
okay, good. All right. All right, now let's go to item number, anything else from Kathy on that?
No.
Okay. Item number 4, review the courthouse chiller RFP for presentation to the Board of Commissioners at the 6 o'clock meeting. Come on up here.
Come on, Lance.
Chillers.
So just as a highlight, as Lance comes up, we did properly advertise and provide an RFP out for the chiller work that's required at the courthouse. And we received the bids that you see before you. We received 5 bids. And the recommendation this evening is going to be to choose the lowest bid with 37 weeks of lead time, and staff has done a review of the material that was presented, and we feel very comfortable that that Wright Brothers is going to be the best option for this work.
Erica, you in this? You're okay? Nodding head north-south on this?
If you have any questions, we can answer them, but I mean, other than that, it's pretty cut and dry. Wright Brothers was the lowest bid. I went out and done references on the jobs that they did locally in Griffin at Caterpillar plant. They're qualified to do the job, so it's just up to y'all.
We have,
Where are they from? Is it
It's
any
here,
of
isn't
these
it?
folks from
Here?
in our local region?
Wright Brothers is actually from Griffin.
I thought they were. They're like on,
So,
See 'em on
who am I
Popular
dealing
Street,
with?
is that what it is?
I love letting people locally do our stuff, but,
That's been your,
yeah, I mean, I want to know,
Well, first of all, let me ask a question. References. Do we have references on work that they've done in the past?
I do.
Okay.
and
That's my question.
you said that was it from Caterpillar?
That was the biggest job that they've had locally was Caterpillar that I went and looked at.
Okay, so, let me just be stupid for a minute here. Chiller is the thing that keeps the air conditioner cool?
It is,
yes.
Yes.
runs 365, even in the winter.
And we're replacing that,
We are,
and it'll be 37 weeks before we can get it.
that's the scary part, because it's $13,000 a month to rent another one if it goes down.
Oh, so we've been renting
No,
one?
no. We did that at the CI a couple of years ago, and when it went
Yeah.
down. We're hoping that this don't happen this way.
No. This is a little bit quicker than we originally thought. Didn't we
Yeah,
think
they
44?
had, yeah, they had said
Almost a
44,
year
so we're
out.
hoping 37.
So do we feel like this is going to be guaranteed? I mean, are we gonna find out in 4 months that they can't get the part, and then I'm just,
They said 37 weeks, so all we got to go by is what they said, so.
okay. All right.
And it was real clear from the others that bid the project that 37 weeks was 35 weeks, 37 weeks. This was very typical of what the other vendors were indicating.
All right, any other questions specifically on this? Don't go anywhere, Lance, I got some questions for you at this workshop, for the workshop.
Okay, what about, I see Johnson Controls are on here, and we have done they have done a ton of work out at the CI.
They've done a lot of work at all our buildings, but we have recently dropped them on most of the buildings that we have.
But why?
Because their pricing has gotten out of control. They're starting to say that some of the stuff is not covered anymore because of the age of the time frame.
Okay,
So
All right, I'll just.
I cut them loose about 6 months ago.
And they're a nationally known company too,
All
right?
right.
'Cause they're,
Well, I mean, I just remember their names and
Yeah.
so much stuff out
They-
of jail, yeah. But okay.
they can
I
afford
don't
to
have
get
any more
prices up.
questions.
Lance, let's talk for a second while we're talking about the courthouse. My gut tells me that the courthouse is structurally sound,
Yes, sir.
okay? And that we're talking a lot about trying to replace the whole thing. My gut tells me that if it's structurally sound, that we should be able to do something almost floor by floor to be able to repair in a half price, third price of building a brand new jail, a brand new courthouse.
Everything that I'm hearing from the court people is the size. It's not got nothing to do with the building. Just the size, the layout of the building, the security aspect of the building. The building was built in 1983, so security is completely out of the window as far as anything is concerned. Back when we had the murder trial a few months ago, it was really, really bad, you know, having to worry about people getting in and out the way it is. It's just not laid out good for the law enforcement aspect or the security aspect.
But
It
it's-
can be done, because I've been working with Josh Thacker on some of the stuff that he's wanting to do over there, trying to get some prices for him. So some modernization can be done, but I don't know if it can be done to the court standards. I guess the court
So
standards don't matter as much about your standards as the court standards do.
Well, okay, so then my question is, kind of, what is the court standard doing about how we're over there now? Are they beating our head down because something's not meeting? I'm just not really understanding, if somebody can help me to understand, whatever is going on now, if it's such a problem in terms of like, I guess, security. I don't understand how that works. You go in, you get on the elevator, if you're not an inmate. If you are, you gotta come in downstairs and come up the back elevator. So where's the security issue?
Well, I'm not sure the security issue in that aspect is as bad as just the building itself. I have an elevator over there right now, 1983 elevator, just being held up by pipes. The hydraulic cylinder is leaking in the packet.
Which one is that? I want to be sure I don't get on it.
It's the actual old tag office.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
around the
It's
corner, back around the
unoperated.
corner.
We're
But
not
that one's closed, right?
It is for now, yes, ma'am. So I'm just saying, in general, that's the kind of thing that they're looking for. Problems, you know, we don't have he's wanting to refurbish the courthouse, knock walls out, move stuff around to try to utilize the inmate elevator more, because we don't have ways to get inmates from the basement to the first floor at all because of the way the building was built in phases. So it's just unoperational like not right now. That can be modified, but it's just gonna be expensive.
So how do inmates get from downstairs up to the courtroom?
In the inmate elevator that travels from the basement on the second phase of the building, from the basement to the second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Nothing goes to the first floor. So they can't have any criminal trials on the first floor without taking inmates to the front lobby.
All right, so the point I'm trying to make in this whole thing is the courthouse is a structurally sound place.
You're saying it needs to be renovated, not,
Internally, we could do some stuff as opposed to wiping it all out and starting all over, which is, we know, $50-60 million. And half of that price, a third of that price, we could refurbish. Now, it is not going to be a brand-new building, but I'm not sure we can afford a brand-new building unless we have a whole new concept here. Yes, they want more courtrooms and they want more spaces here and there, but we have a structurally sound building that, so we need to think through what are we
The
going to
safety
spend our
issues
money on.
that we need to look at.
There are a lot of courthouses, even in this circuit, that are much less secure, I would say, than ours. Upson County and Pike County, just to name two. And they're not in trouble for any of these things. It's just, it is very inconvenient, especially when you're looking at elevators that stop working or are not in good shape, and you have to bring inmates in through the lobby. That's just not a very workable solution.
so right now, we have the two elevators that are in that little, once you pass the security guard. So those two elevators work. The other elevator was over by the tag office.
Back around, yep, you come through and you turn.
Was that one of the ones that we were scheduled to fix?
The inmate elevator is the next one that is scheduled to be fixed.
Okay, so we have budgeted for the
No,
inmate
we
elevator.
did not
to be
budget
fixed.
it. It needs to be, it was the next one that needed to be fixed, but it was not budgeted.
There's almost no money budgeted to do anything for that place.
And that tag office elevator is the one that services primarily magistrate court and probate court.
So my point is, we can do some thinking about, yes, they want something, we may not be able to afford, even if we talk about J-Splosh or something like that, being able to get to it. But it's a structurally sound building, we need to think through and say, this is all the money we've got to be able to do it. Some of us would like to have brand-new houses, but, you know, we stick with the house we've got, and we do
So
stuff
I'm just kind of
inside.
curious, when you say that. I mean, okay, definitely no, you said no J Splosh. So where would we get the money to do any of the repairs or any of the changes? Do we have the money, Steve?
No.
Okay,
But in the future, I mean, we're gonna have to do something. Somewhere along the
In the
line, we're
future.
gonna have to J-Splosh it.
but you're saying right now, the time being, we need to come up with something. We need to do something,
Right now,
For these
my answer
elevators.
is, we need to do elevators.
right?
That's the only thing we need to be doing.
I mean, because that's, for me, that would be the real issue.
And as
So we got
Erica
the-
said, the chiller.
Yeah, the chiller, we're gonna do something about tonight, I hope.
About the security. I mean, you know, if the elevator that you bring inmates up in does not work, clearly that's an
It
issue.
works.
It works.
It
You have
works.
to have
It works.
It works, it just needs a modernization like the two main lobby elevators need. It's
Is
just
it big
outdated.
enough if someone had to put a stretcher in there that it will hold a stretcher?
No, not at all.
Okay, so for me, that would be a big deal, because what if somebody had a heart attack and you needed to put the,
The other two elevators,
You
those
could get 'em
two
on the
main
other elevator, you
elevators
just couldn't get
would
'em on the end
accommodate
elevator.
us, a stretcher.
right, so,
We just-
but in general, you know, that's kind of the size of whatever it would be, and I don't know how big the inmate, but for me, that would be a security issue, but I agree with you.
So,
I think we
just
have a-
start thinking through in your mind, hey, we've been thinking for a while about one thing, replacing the jail
The jail,
and
right.
replacing the courthouse. The courthouse, to me, has got some years left on it. We just need to think about, okay, yep, we're not gonna do everything that the judges want us to do, but we can continue to be serviceable over there if we're paying attention. And it may have to do, we're gonna do, first floor in 4 years, we're gonna do the second floor in 3.5 more years or something like that. And we're gonna move our way up as we get ready to take the long haul on it, so.
So question, so Stephanie, the second and the third floor of the courthouse on the back side is where the courtrooms are, right?
Yes,
So on the first floor is where the clerk of court is, right?
yes.
So it would just make sense if you're talking about security, to me, to move the clerk of court up to where Sylvia was, and then if all the courtrooms are on the back side, you could make sure that there was only access necessary to get into the courtroom area. I know Josh is saying that they need another courtroom, but I'm saying that space is the same size as the two courtrooms upstairs, and the only other people in the building are the clerk of courts folks. Now, I don't know how much space they need, but
They need a lot of space, and
That's a
in
lot
fact,
more than
they need a lot
need.
more than they have, actually. The clerk does.
So think through it, start coming up with your thoughts about, okay, because we know Josh is gonna come and continue to come and talk to us about that. We know that we have that on our long range to-do list. Maybe there's a different way to be able to do it.
what's in the basement of the courthouse? Is it a full basement there?
It is not, it's built in, well, it is, you got the inmate holding area on the first phase of the building, which is the front half of the building, and the back phase is just a sally port where the inmate, they bring the inmates in the back door, mechanical room downstairs, and then jury holding is also downstairs.
You know, years ago, the tag office used to actually be in the basement.
So, yeah, I'm thinking there's dead space in lots of places inside of that building. So, having someone to maybe, I mean, I'm sure Josh has already did. But simply, I agree with you. If the building is structurally sound, we should try to figure out,
With the lack of money, we've got to be able to take
Right.
advantage of things like that and say, hey, we're going to find a way. And Lance is going to come back and talk to us about ways of doing that. All right. Any comments from Board of Commissioners? We have a 6 o'clock, so we've got to,
yes, I do have some comments. I'm wanting to know, was this for us today?
yes.
I'm wanting to know, I'm still saying it, I'm wanting to know what we're gonna do about, looking for funding with the money that we have gotten back for either adding the pay raises back to the budget or, trying to provide our employees with some sort of bonus for this year. And so my question is, and I don't think this is on our agenda tonight,
Good stuff.
I wanna know where, I wanna know where the money is that we can do that. I know, I found out that we had $10 million in a money market account. My gut said, you need to take it out. I mean, I know that's, obviously, we voted for that, but that's $10 million. The other question is that if we got money from,
FEMA.
when we got FEMA money, did we put that money into the fund balance? Did it go into the general fund? Okay,
Balance.
so what is our fund balance right now?
Well, it's the $10 million that you talked about for the ARPA, the ARPA funds, that we placed into the money market account. And then the total 6.1 million
6.1, right?
is back into fund balance.
So right now, fund balance is at $8 million.
They're about, yes, ma'am. I can give you an exact figure, but yes, ma'am, you're exactly right. It's 1.9 plus the 6.1.
So that's my point. There is money there. We know that we have something to do. But also, I am just very, very disappointed that the cut that we made to our budget was a cut that took away benefits for our employees. And if there is money, whether maybe we can't afford to do raises at this time because we can't project that we're gonna have that money to pay next year. But I think that we need to do something.
Yeah,
Do we have did we accumulate any interest with that $10 million in the money market?
We do.
Okay, but do we know, I mean, do you have a figure what that looks like?
Erica, do you know how much
'Cause
the
it-
interest rate is in the money market account for the 10 million?
It was pretty good.
It's not much.
No.
They were, I mean, they were a little bit higher though the last, really?
Yeah.
1%, that's, we,
So, one of the things I'd like for us to start to think.
It's a lot higher than other places.
I believe that in our business, there's money in there. Now, I know that that's not the staff position, but I think we need to talk about what are the priorities for that money. We have $10 million, we have $6.1 million in there that wasn't in budget, wasn't in all of that other stuff that we've got. We need to think through, what do we want to do? If we decide the number one thing we want to do is employee money, then okay. If we decide the number one thing we want to do is, we've still got outstanding bills, the $200,000 we're going to do tonight, the sheriff's money, you know, we've got a number of.
The chiller.
The chiller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a number of things hanging over the county manager's head that we need to look and say, all right, where do we want to put these things? And do we want to, in fact, what you talked about, say, we want to take some of it out of the $10 million and pay these bills off? We have got to think through that and come up with our recommendation to the county manager so he knows where to go and what we want him to do. And this is heavy thinking. This is, because we're balancing lots of big issues.
So our expectation was that we would get approximately $8 million in FEMA reimbursement. That's in ballpark.
We have $2 more million, my belief is we have $2 more million coming, $1 million and another $1 million.
So what I'm kind of getting back at is that the first payment that came back from FEMA, we paid our bills with them. So that didn't go in the fund balance. So, but our expectation is that there will be at least two more payments, which we decided that's gonna go back to the fund balance
Right,
too.
as we said, yeah.
Because we took that out of the fund balance.
That's correct.
We
Yes,
just
ma'am.
did that. I don't believe the five of us, that's what the county manager did, which I think was the right thing for him to do, get the money as soon as the check was there, let's get it in there. But we need to talk about ourselves and say, hey, this is what we think needs to be done. And that is days of operation, you know, and right now,
Right.
we're just now starting to get some kind of money back in here. We've been,
And my
Tax
point
money.
in that is this. We had zero in the fund balance. We had the expectation that 8 million would come back. But actually, it's only gonna be 6, because we had to pay our bills. But with this other money that's sitting off to the side, and I don't know what $6 million is, about 2.5 weeks worth of bill paying, Erica?
$191 a day,
So-
$191,000 a day.
So we have $10 million, that could very easily roll over into the fund balance, but we have stuff we need to pay for. You know, chiller, whatever else. So my point being is, when I was talking about TJ and his group of people, they do an awesome job.
Yes, they do.
2 years ago, they were just barely fixing potholes if they could. We did the T-Splosh, gave them $1 million over each year, over 2 years, and that $1 million was to do all of this other work. Well, okay, they got to do the T-Splosh, engineering, program management, all of that stuff. Then they got all this other stuff that we have them doing, and clearly, there are not enough people. So we doubled or even tripled their workload, because we had money to get this stuff, but they don't have anybody to do this. So we're gonna be waiting forever, like the project that we have out at the landfill. We have, I don't know, $300,000 or something that we got, or we're gonna get, and we'll get more for that.
Total of $2
There's
million.
nobody that he's got. And I understand that he's looking for an engineer, somebody to come in to help do project management. But what we have for a salary for an engineer is not even gonna get my dog to come over here and work. So I hear what you're saying, but if we want people, and I've said this to Steve, well, if you incentivize people to come in new, what about the people that are already here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I totally get it, and we need to do something for them, but we cannot get this work done if we don't get bodies in the seat.
Yep.
So, you know, I'm not saying that they're the priority, I'm pretty sure it's the same with the fire department, but people are our greatest resource. If nobody comes to work, you ain't got to worry about the chiller at the courthouse, cause ain't nobody gonna be over there. There ain't gonna be nobody at the jail, there ain't gonna be nobody at the CI, so whatever we decide to do with this money in the money market, something had better be for retention. Because and I'm not trying to tell you to do anything, TJ, but if I had his skill set, I would not be working for us for this little bit of money that we're giving him. I mean, he's running 2 departments, not that I like you or anything, but we was paying somebody else a whole salary to be the parks director, and somebody else a whole salary to be the public works director. So we, get real. We can't expect Kelly, TJ, and Rick McCrary, we can't expect them to keep staying here for this little bit of money that we giving them.
so, the point is, get ready. We need to think through, what are we gonna do? We know where some money is. Steve's been doing what he can to be able to get it in there and make interest off of it and stuff like that. What do we want him to do with it? So think through that. That's a big decision.
First of all, we want them to get it out of the money market account, because we can't do nothing with it while it's sitting there. But yeah.
I think he
agree.
can do, and my thought process, so everybody knows, is that's what retreat is about. January is coming up on us fast, and I think that the time for us to sit down and talk about what we want him to do with this money and the risk we're willing to take with it, because that's what it's all about. Say, all right, we want you to keep 5 million, we want to do 5 million, or we want you to keep 8 and keep 2, we want to do it this way. All right,
Mr. Chairman, that actually brings up a great discussion point. If the board would please let me know 2 or 3 dates in January that you have available for a retreat. We have 2 available locations for us. One is in Troup County at their brand-new facility that they just opened. The county manager in Troup County reached out over the weekend and indicated that they would be more than happy to provide that location to us for no charge. So great for us. Thank you, Eric. The other location is a local venue that the owner indicated that we could use her facility that's located here in Spalding County. That's a beautiful location as well. I think Ms. Johnson is very familiar with that location. Either one of those locations could work, but we need to give them at least 5 or 6 weeks of heads-up notice before we could take advantage of that
okay,
facility.
are we? Yeah,
Dr.
thank you.
Ledbetter, please not January 4, 5, or 6.
Yes, please.
Okay, are we talking about trying to do it, looking on the weekend? We usually do it on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday, or something like that. Is that the time frame we're talking about? Or is this going to be during the middle of the week, which is hard on those that are working?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, because if you're working, it's a lot easier to plan around a Monday or plan around a Friday or a Saturday.
All right, so we're talking about trying to do it on, as an example, a Friday and a Saturday.
2 days? Yeah. One only did one.
Well, I'm not too sure we're gonna be able to get it done in one day.
Yeah,
What we're-
I don't feel like the last years that we've done it on one day, that we've
Needed to.
actually had enough time to digest everything that we were trying to do.
Friday and Saturday's fine.
Okay,
Also not
what'd you say?
January 27th.
Friday and Saturday?
Sure, that's
Okay,
fine.
okay, I just didn't,
And maybe Eric can help us with hotel rooms or something there.
Okay.
I'm being
okay.
funny. Surely he's not. Think?
I'm
Really?
willing to, yes.
Do that.
all right, look at the calendar for
Okay.
Friday, Saturday. Let's be
Troup
able to
County.
get that cranked out that way. Okay,
That
other
works.
comments from county manager,
No, sir, not at this time.
attorney,
No, sir.
county clerk, citizen engagement? This is a workshop, so anybody out there that wants to say something, this is the time?
I just have something. When Steve does his comments, if we are gonna talk about maybe budgeting for like things like City Park and things like that some of us have been hit up with maybe what we're doing moving forward with some of those things, it'd be kinda helpful to kinda have some ideas about if and what we're gonna do anything about that.
Tonight, Johnny's coming in here to talk, and his point is going to be, this is how the system works. So people understand, the 1 January is a date that we pick to do that. It's done by the market value, full, fair market value. He's gonna try to explain that so that it's recorded and so that people can then do this. This is a big deal for us to be able to get that information out for us to, so that the people understand the difference between what the tax board, Board of Assessors doing and what we do.
Mr. Chairman, just as an aside, staff did take a look at grants for lighting at the tennis park, or the tennis courts at City Park. Kelly, if you want to make any comments, I think we were able to come up with maybe $40,000 out of it.
$40,000 max.
And the total cost for lighting for the court, for the tennis courts are right around 200,000, according to TJ. So there is a gap there, and there are
What did you say first, what was $40,000?
the
Lighting.
grants, the
Grants.
grant monies that were available. That's the maximum amount of money that we were able to find.
For a facility that size.
So this is my wash with that. If the park closes at dusk, clearly if it's dark, you need lights. But for any of our other facilities, there is a cost for the lights to be on at night. So are we trying to, I see your face going like that, TJ, but when we used to do soccer, they had to help pay the bill.
He
For
he
the
needs
lights.
his glasses.
But
So the lights at Tide there to turn on the lights, so,
I'm saying all that to say this, is that if the park has to be closed at dusk, if you need lights at night, which clearly we've already said the park is closed at dusk,
Tough luck.
why?
You don't need lights because the park is
Because it's
closed at
closed.
dusk.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
correct.
and I'm not saying that there's anything that we shouldn't try to do something different, but there's a lot of stuff that we need to get done in city parks
Sure.
that ain't just the lights to play tennis.
We
That's
just
correct.
got
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
clarify something?
Sure.
10 o'clock. The park closes at 10 o'clock, not at dusk.
I thought that the sign said from sun up to dusk, not to 10 o'clock at night. All of our parks are open to 10 o'clock at night? Yeah.
Are you suggesting
You
that
have
that's,
the skate park there, you've got, you know.
is that
This is a
topic of
recreation, I don't think we
discussion?
should cut that. I think this is a recreational piece that, you know, at night, summer, things like that. I think
Well, I mean,
we need
there
to
are
keep it.
already lights in place, and are those lights on a timer at the skate park?
Yes, they turn off at 10.
Okay, so,
And then, of course, you got the rec centers there as
Right.
well, and then you still have people using the golf, which I know is probably not after dark, but, yeah, the golf course main entrance goes through there too, so there's probably people leaving or they haven't functioned
so,
or something.
master plan for city park. Because at the end of the day, are we more concerned that there's not a water fountain for people to use while they're out there? Or are we more concerned that people need to be able to play tennis at night? Are there gonna be lights where kids can play in kiddie playground at night? So it needs to be not just this thing we need to fix right now. We don't need to just throw money at problems. We need to have a comprehensive plan for what it is that we want city park to look like. And I know you're supposed to be doing a master plan or parks master plan for this year.
That's
I ju-
correct.
I just think that let's not jump right out there.
Yeah.
Because there's probably some things that we need to do in order. I mean, I feel bad because people can't play
Nope.
at night, but, you know, we knew that that park was going to just basically be passive until we were able to budget for it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'd like to change slightly on gear on what we're talking about.
Okay.
You saw in the note from Steve about grant writer, the requirement for grant writer. You may have seen a note I wrote about Henry County has a grant writer. Now, I was told when I was working my way in that grant writers are so specific that you can't have a generalized grant writer. The Henry County folks talked to me and said, absolutely you can. You're gonna have to have it. They do the grants, i.e. if it's a leisure service grant, it comes to that person. I believe in the end, at least within the next year or 2 years, we're gonna have to talk about having a grant writer. Or we're gonna lose out on grants because the agency is gonna say, who's your grant writer? And we're gonna say, so we need to think through it. Henry County, they say all of it goes to one person. Now, the people I was talking to said the directors are still doing almost all the work for it. But it comes in and that the grant writer is then full-time engaged in trying to find grants. So just heads up, since the state's gonna change, we're probably gonna have to, we're at the end of that whip. We're gonna be at the cracking end of that whip. Okay.
So right now, if there's a grant for anything that's for leisure services or public works, TJ has been doing that.
Correct.
Now, and I think that he and Kelly are very good and have a high return rate on what they do. But that's in addition to everything else. So I'm not saying that a grant writer, position wouldn't be needed, but when we had a transportation planner,
Yes?
Yes.
we don't have that anymore. So that person was actually looking for road grants and transportation grants, so, I think that it would be a good thing. We just need to talk to the people who are needing it. Certainly leisure services and certainly you, but if there are other areas throughout the county that we can be looking for something for. I think the city has 1 or 2 grant writers.
I honestly don't know.
I don't know, but if that's a new requirement being put on us by the state, if you're
Oh, I
gonna
don't
get,
know, because that's what Three Rivers is supposed to do.
Well, Three Rivers can't do it for us for any federally attached money. That was one of the breakout sessions that I attended last week during the summit at UGA. And the procurement director for the Department of Transportation said that, you know, up until here recently, they had really just sort of not really looked more specifically than they will moving forward for contractors doing the administrative work for grants. But moving forward with the limitations on funding, they were going to become much more strict with how they interpret the law that I shared back with you through the email from the outbrief. And they are requiring under their procurement rules and state law and federal, which is 23 CFR, that we have a full-time employee designated to administer all funding that has any federal funds attached. Well, if that's the case, that's going to be an extreme burden on our employees, because we don't have an individual who can oversee and administrate all of our grant funding. In fact, right now, we are using Paragon to do some of the administrative work for us through the grant that we've got with, the neighborhood grant that we have for AMBUCS and for Volunteer Park. So all that is coming through me right now, and I'm making sure that I am reviewing everything that's coming through, because we don't have an individual designated for that administration of those grant funds.
So are we saying that this is done, or are you saying that this is a projection of what you're hearing is going to come?
No, this is what came out of the procurement director's mouth last Thursday, that it's a done deal. They are moving forward with holding all of the jurisdictions much more accountable for a full-time employee administering all of the federally funded grants.
all right. Now, anything on this before we get to tonight? Oh, no, excuse me, I'm talking about a new subject. Anything on CIE? Everybody's got their sheets?
Got it.
What, this is the updated CIE?
Yes, ma'am.
This is, so what I don't want to do is get into tonight and all of a sudden we start a huge
Right.
30, 45-minute conversation.
This is what we got back from DCA?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's been approved.
These are the changes that DCA requested. We have to do the resolution a second time and send it back to them. The changes to the report submitted last year covered 23 through 27. This report should cover either 23 through 28 or 24 through 28. So a small typo just in the 5-year period. It also appears that community work program was included with this update. However, it appears that many projects are missing that were included in the previous annual update that have completion dates beyond 23. Some of those have been completed. We just did not note those as completed in the packet, and some of them were removed because we just can't do the work right now, and we will put them back up at a later date. It also looks like the format of the CWP had changed, so they asked us to reformat it in last year's format, and that was it. And that email came from Julie Yoder on November the 1st, so this is our first opportunity to make all the changes and then get this back in front of you for the second resolution. They were pleased with what they saw. They just asked for some minor changes.
So you're asking us to vote on this tonight, but you have to make changes to it?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The changes have been made. You have them in front of you. This is the updated version with the updated resolution. Once you resolve that this is what we agreed to move forward, then DCA will move us from red to green on our dashboard.
Okay, I guess I'm trying to figure out why the Water and Sewer Authority is on the CIE. Why are they on our CIE?
They are a part of our mandated update for the county.
For what? Why not the development authority? Why
That
not
I
the
can't
health
answer, because they don't use federally funded grants through DCA. CDBG is federal grants through Department of Community Affairs, and the county has to request it, and the Water Authority is the beneficiary, so we get to make the report.
Okay, so things that we completed in '23, how do we, I see that it starts at '24, which hasn't happened. Why are we not showing what was completed in '23 in terms of these projects that are living? It's cold in here.
It's cold. I am actually warm today. So if you look in the notes section, you will note the progress of each one of the report items. So for number one, I'll use that as the example, complete sewer feasibility. The final report was completed on August the 16th of '23, and staff is working with Lindsay Engineering on the bottom of the next steps. So that is actually a completed item. It was for '23, and if you note in the 24 through 28 time period, there's no check mark because that one is actually completed. So we do note that these are completed. It's just that DCA asked us to include this one back in the report so that they could highlight the notes section in their updates. Because they actually use this for their updates back to the federal government for the money that they send through them to us.
Yeah, I just don't think, because there are notes over here in the notes section, I think that if a project is finished, that's not a good place to annotate that that's finished. Because if I just go down here and look, what does check mark mean?
Now you're making our argument because that was the argument that we made, and they came back and said that they wanted us to add those back into the update so that they could highlight which projects we completed through the notes section.
Okay. Well, that's what they're asking.
All right, so, if you've got questions between now and 6 o'clock meeting, just grab hold of Steve and talk, because I'm trying to get it, all right, anything else? All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 4-0, we're adjourned.
Back at 6 o'clock.
Are you cold? Something's wrong with me because I am not cold.
Any nomination for us?
You're cold? It's on. Something must be definitely wrong with me.
I'll take some, just a half, because I'm gonna reach out to, I need to reach out to Tangela and all them. I mean, I have already, but.
Angela called.
Oh, they already, okay.
Yeah, she's taking care of it.
Zach, what about Zach? Is he?
Zach.
Oh, okay, I'll reach out to him, and, Rachel wants. They're on my ethics.
Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Kathleen, thank you, Kathy.
How do I do that?
The button you need or need sheets filled out for people that are going to stay on, or you just need for new people?
It's the switch, the toggle switch.
I haven't received it, and yes.
Okay.
If I've received it, then.
Should
no,
be
because
blue.
I've already done a shift. It says yes, I've already done it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
That didn't work.
no, they cut everything off.
That could have. Hey Kathy, can you cut off the mics, please?
No, go home. Okay, just go.
Okay. I will definitely.